Welcome to Tools Every Landlord Should Use, where the Income Care Unit highlights resources to strengthen your homeownership financial health. This week, we're focusing on estate planning, and who better to lead the conversation than our fintech favorite, Trust and Will? Let's jump into the conversation.
Today we have an amazing treat. We are actually joined here by Michael Salazar of Trust and Will, who is going to share with us a little bit about how real estate has to do with trust and wills, but also to share an amazing DIY / done with you platform to help you really get your trust and wills together. So Michael, please say hey to the people.
Hey to the people. I'm Michael Salazar. I'm here based in San Diego. As you can tell by the title, by my name and by my t-shirt, I work for Trust and Will. Now, I support mostly financial advisors and financial planners, but all sorts of different financial professionals implement an easy and accessible estate planning option for their clients. Trust and Will is the leading platform for setting up your estate plan online. We've been around for almost 6 years now. We've helped over 500,000 families create their estate plan. And we're looking forward to hopefully working with you if Trust and Will can be the right solution. But here on this call, definitely looking forward to talking with Queen about a little bit more about estate planning in general. And of course, how Trust and Will might be able to help.
Yes. So I actually ran into you guys on another platform and I was like, man, this looks really dope. I know that my community can definitely utilize the service. Mm-hmm. So the first thing I want to do is let's lay the groundwork for everybody. Okay. So what is the difference between a trust and a will? Because plenty of people think that it's synonymous when it's not.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, so I think one of the ways to think of it is a will is sort of more of a suggestion list, I guess you could say, versus a trust is really a written agreement between yourself and your successor to trustee to say, this is exactly how I want my wishes carried out. So we may get into the subject of probate in just a little bit, but basically a will is going to be subject to probate, which is the process of, of course, verifying that the will is valid, paying off any debts or taxes owed, and then ultimately letting a judge and a court decide, is this how we're going to pass along assets exactly as they're listed in the will, or is this going to look a little bit different? Are people going to be able to come out of the woodworks maybe and contest? It's more of a suggestion list versus a trust. Like I said, it's more of a written agreement to say, hey, this is set in stone. This is my legacy. This is exactly how I want my assets passed down to the next generation. This is exactly how I want those assets distributed over time. So if you want a sure thing, a trust is the best bet. It's going to avoid probate. It's going to also ensure that your information is kept private because when an estate is probated through a will or with no will at all, that information is not going to be, on the front page of the local paper, but it is public record. So people could go and find that information if they were looking for it. A lot of people like to set up a trust just to have a little bit more privacy for their family, or other beneficiaries that may be listed as well.
What would be the dangers of somebody finding out about your trust or your will?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to look different for every situation, but a lot of people just like the privacy of saying, hey, I don't want anyone or, quite literally anybody off the street to be able to know what I had when I passed away and possibly where those ended up. Like, I don't want, a random person walking down the street to be able to know that I passed $1.5 million along to my daughter, or, that I gave 2 properties to my son. They'd rather just keep that information private, keep it in the family and keep it off public record.
That makes a lot of sense because there's a lot of vultures out here. Okay. I've seen this. I'm not really I'm so bad with names, but there's this like Netflix movie that I watched, and it might have been a series. No, it was a series. It's like one of the newest series. And the girls like literally running around to estates, buying up all of their stuff at estate sales to resell it online. Apparently it's like the eBay, when they used to do like a lot of heavy eBay stuff. So that's like something that somebody would want to keep like quiet, like, bro.
Yeah, exactly. I think for most of those cases where there is an estate sale, that's usually an estate that's been through the probate process. That property now belongs to that person's beneficiary, maybe usually a child, and they're saying, "Hey, we're basically going to try to sell everything in this house. We're going to open it up for people to come through and buy it, before we try to sell the home, just to try to get rid of as many things as they want to, in a way that's really easily and to make a few bucks as well."
Okay. Cool. That's awesome. So, do you want to tell us more about trust and will itself, or do you want to dive a little bit more deeper into how trust and wills can help us in the real estate world?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with just talking about trust and will and what we do. So we really exist to make estate planning more accessible through affordability, through ease of use, taking out that intimidation factor of, hey, I'm going to sit down with an attorney for 5 hours and talk about what's going to happen to everything I've worked so hard
5
for.
hours?
Right? It can be multiple meetings. It can be multiple hours of meetings in order to set up a valid estate plan with an attorney. And I think that's something that prevents a lot of people from taking that step is, I'm busy. My spouse is busy as well. We can't find time to take time off work, find a sitter for the kids, and go meet with an attorney during business hours. We don't want to spend the average $3,000 to $5,000 it takes to set up a pretty straightforward revocable living trust. And then also, hey, it's scary to think about death. It's scary to talk about death. And it can be really intimidating to have a plan in place for when you pass away. Here at Trust and Will, we see it a little bit differently. We don't believe that you need to be super rich or nearing the end of your life in order to have a plan in place that can provide you with peace of mind. We believe that if you have a spouse, if you own a home, if you have a child, or if you just want to make sure you have control over your legacy, that everybody has the ability to do that. So like I said earlier, about 6 years we launched. About 5 years ago, we created our first estate plan, and we now offer estate planning document creation in all 50 states. And this is either through kind of like you said, a DIY process where they could come online, answer one question at a time and build their estate plan totally on their own. Or we do have the ability for them to interact with our member support team over chat, over phone, or via email. And in most states, the ability to add attorney support as well. So if clients want to actually go through our entire process with an attorney, they can go ahead and add that. They can get unlimited time with that attorney for a flat fee of $200 within 1 year, which is amazing value.
I love that part.
And then also they're going to get line by line document review and the ability to receive legal advice on their plan. So if estate planning sounds intimidating, if even a modern, easy option like Trust and Will sounds intimidating, I really encourage you to take a chance on getting started with us and adding that attorney support just for extra confidence and extra peace of mind. But we are delivering estate plans today, totally comprehensive, for under $650 in every single state.
Which is like unheard of. Because I remember when I was going through the issue with my family and trying to figure out what to do with our building that was getting sold. And before that, I had tried to talk to my grandmother about where's your will at? Where is it? So that we can know what's going on and all the things. And I just feel like a lot of people are scared to even have the conversation. Yes, but also it's like, when I sit down and I try to figure out where to put all of the things, it just becomes very confusing. Right. So I like that you guys have the DIY situation, because for someone who's like a very serious introvert like me, I'm like, look, I'd love to sit down with a professional, but it makes me nervous. Right. Can I just do this on my own? And when I need some help, to shoulder tap somebody. And you guys provide that type of service, and I love it. Like this, it's the best. Like honestly, amazing.
And one other thing that I'll add on, I think, in terms of just like key differences between using us or sitting down with an attorney, is that there's no time limit when you use Trust and Will. Like you can really take as much time as you need, and that can be helpful for some people when making decisions around, hey, I've never thought of who would be the backup guardian for my kids? Or, I've never thought about, my spouse and I have never had a conversation about how we want our remains handled, if we want to be buried together and where that would be. It can be really tough if that question comes up. You're sitting down with an attorney and you know that every minute that goes by is more money you're being charged, versus with trust and will, you can save your progress. You can go on a long walk. You can sleep on it, have conversations with family, come back.
Digest.
Exactly. And you have as much time as you need, plus 1 year of unlimited updates. So I think it really alleviates some of that pressure that people feel of, I need to have my mind made up. And this is a decision that's set in stone.
Yeah. And also, like, listening to you say that, I'm thinking about the people who, even when they come to me, they're like, or they're about to come to me to help them with their finances and getting their debt and everything together. They're like, to get a house, they're like, well, I'm not ready yet. I have to go and prepare for the situation. No, like, just come as you are. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
And I like that Trust and Will provides you with that, like, sanctity. Like, if you want to go at your own slow pace, it is okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And we encourage it. We want people to take as much time as they need. That being said, if people do it in one sitting, typically 30 to 45 minutes of work overall. So a very fast process. They can get through it very quickly. It just depends on, how long it takes to make some of those big decisions.
I will say that's better than thinking about 5 hours sitting still.
Absolutely.
I don't know about 5 hours. I don't know about that. So did you have anything that you wanted to show us? Do you have like a copy of something, or do you want to show us the platform? What you got? What goodies do you have for us today?
Absolutely. So I can kind of pull back the curtain and show some screenshots of what this interface really looks like. First thing I want to do, though, is go ahead and just share a little bit more information about that support. I think that's a lot of people's concern around using a digital option. And let me just make sure that I am showing the right slide here. Yeah. That's good. Awesome. So just as kind of a refresher, we do offer live member support 6 days a week via chat, phone, or email. That is free in all 50 states at any point during the process. So if you want to go open another window right now and interact with our chat team without even having an account, you can do that if you want to. They can help during document creation, or if you want to make updates in the future and you have some questions about that, they're still going to be available. And they really provide value to the user by providing education, answering basic questions, helping out with technical questions about using the platform, especially questions when a client chats in and they say, hey, here's my situation. Here's what I'm looking to accomplish. How do I do that using Trust and Will? Right? That's not asking for legal advice. So our team can absolutely provide guidance around, hey, here's your goals. We can help you accomplish them. We want to make sure you're in the exact right spot and that you're entering information correctly. So super helpful. I highly encourage anyone that uses Trust and Will in the future to reach out to this team via chat or over the phone. And then just to take it one step further, we do offer live attorney support in most states right now. We are expanding this primarily based off population and demand. But like I said, 1 year of unlimited access to the attorney for a flat fee of $200, legal advice, document creation guidance, line by line document review is all covered under that fee.
Before you continue, I do want to point out the attorney support, the states that you have, because majority of my audience, community, and clients are in New York, Maryland, Texas, and Illinois, which you cover. So you guys can absolutely use Trust and Will very comfortably and know that you are taken really great care of, okay?
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. And one other thing to call out is in the states where we offer that, only about 5% of our members end up adding it. So it is pretty rare, but if you feel like you need it, go for it. You're not going to find better value for legal advice anywhere else online.
For $200? No.
That's less than most attorneys' hourly fees. So
right.
Definitely help you out. Anyway, so in terms of getting started on the process, if you are interested in doing this, reach out to Queen directly. Queen has a link that she's going to be able to send to you in order to get you started. And you'll end up on a page like this. You'll click Get Started. We do have a quiz that can help you identify what the right type of plan for you may be and why. If you do own a home or other property, we're almost definitely going to recommend a trust for you. And I'm sure we'll talk about why in just a little bit.
Yes.
You'll select the tiles that apply to you. You'll select your plan. And then we're going to take you through one question at a time. So this is sort of like a giant decision tree. Every single person that uses Trust and Will has a completely unique experience based off the information they provide to us. So it would start off with, hey, what's your name? When were you born? Do you have a spouse? If so, what's their name? When were they born? Do you have children? Are they the children of you and your current spouse? So on and so forth. So we're going to put you exactly where you need to be. You're only going to see one question at a time. It keeps things light. It prevents you from feeling overwhelmed or like you're filling out some long, complicated form. And we try to leave out, the unnecessary legal jargon as well. Sometimes, though, we need to include legal jargon. But in cases like this, we'll always do two things. First of all, we'll always provide context or a definition for what we're asking about. For example, here, we're asking about a digital executor. Now, most people that come to our site do not know what a digital executor is. In this case, if they wanted to learn more, they'll be able to see right away. That's someone who's authorized to request access to your digital accounts like social media, email, even cryptocurrency if that's relevant. Basically, somebody to manage your digital assets once you're no longer here. Based off that information, that little blurb, clients can make a decision. Or if they want to learn a little bit more, there will either be this question mark or a little learn more call to action that they can click on. They'll be able to get a lot more information. They can see the most frequently asked questions from our members when they're on this exact question. Most of these answers will also include links to articles on our site so they can dive even deeper if they'd like to. Mm-hmm. And remember, our team is also available via chat. So if you want some clarity, if you want to talk to somebody in real time, we do have a team available via chat.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. It's awesome to be able to get real on-demand assistance.
Definitely.
Now, just one more example I want to share for people who are setting up a trust. So this person is setting up their trust. As you can see there in the distribution section of this process. We put them here because they told us that an important part of their legacy is leaving a donation to charity when they pass away. They want that to be part of how they're remembered. So we'll put them right here and we'll basically explain that the charity that they choose is going to get that gift before their other beneficiaries divide the rest of the property. So basically, charity is going to get their share first. Everybody else splits the rest of the pot. Now that the client knows how that distribution is going to occur, they can, of course, decide what charity they want to support. But then also they can decide, do I want to donate a certain percentage of my estate? Or do I want to leave a very specific dollar amount and say maybe, hey, I want to give $20,000 to the Red Cross. I want to give $30,000 to my church, $40,000 to the Boys and Girls Club, and we'll cap it at that, right? So charity is going to get those first. That can, look a little bit different if you choose a percentage of the estate, since you won't know the exact value of your estate when you pass away. So this is a great way to ensure that you can meet your charitable giving goals after the time of death.
Yes. I always wondered how that worked. Or like when people leave stuff to their dogs or something. I'm like, how's
exactly. A little interesting tidbit is we do allow all of our users to nominate guardians, not only for their children, but for what other people see as their children, which are their pets. Absolutely.
I love that.
over 70% of our users that told us that they have a pet nominated a guardian for that animal as well. So it's a great way to ensure that, if your furry friend does outlive you, that they're going to have a good home.
They're okay.
They're going to be with someone that is going to take really good care of them.
Oh, super sweet.
And like I said, for a trust, usually 45 minutes or less, we'll take them through one section at a time. After each section, they'll have the ability to review the information that they've entered, so they can just check, make sure it looks all good before moving on to the next section.
Awesome. I love it. And I love that it's just very user friendly and like easy to use.
Yeah.
Like plain language, and y'all know how much I love a good definition. So I love that the definitions are so readily available for you, and you don't have to like go Google search, because trying to figure out legal stuff is like, running through a jungle.
I mean, really, that's one of the things that we are obsessed with is the user interface, the user experience. We were really built as a direct response to LegalZoom not being a solution for people that needed estate planning documents. Actually, a couple of our co-founders were trying to build documents on LegalZoom. They weren't getting the education they need. They found the experience to be a little bit clunky. They couldn't get the support that they needed. And they're like, there's got to be a better way. And thus, Trust and Will really was born. But, like Queen said, it's very easy. We have that education built in, and that's going to avoid you needing to open up another tab, hoping you can Google and find the information elsewhere, or reaching out to Queen every single time that you have a question when she's probably just going to say, hey, they have a support team. They can help you out.
They have their own support. Okay. They are the best people for the job. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. All right. Awesome. So for those of you who are going to be, getting your trust and wills through Trust and Will, inside of the Money Mindset Clinic app, under the services tab is where you're going to see the button to actually purchase your trust and will, depending on, whether you are a couple, whether you're single, all the cool things. Okay. Now, does anyone have any questions? If anyone has any questions, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat. But I did take a couple of questions, frequently asked questions from my audience before this, just to make sure that we covered everything that they were asking me. So here is the first question. How can individuals manage potential conflicts and ensure their estate plan aligns with their family's needs and goals? And I'll tell you where kind of sort of that question came from was being able to say, okay, I want this family member to have this, property in Maryland, and another property, this other family member gets it in Chicago, right? And I don't want them to be able to sell it to anybody. I want them to be able to sell it to each other and all the cool things, right? So there's a lot of these ideas floating around on the internet. And so they want to make sure that actually is true and it works out.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm going to answer this first the easy way, which is set up an estate plan, right? Create a plan that reflects your wishes, that can help avoid any conflicts and ensure that it's aligned with what your family needs and wants, right? So for example, if you do own two separate properties in Maryland and Illinois, you're going to have the ability to include those in your trust, and then also to designate exactly who is going to be able to receive those properties. And maybe equally as important for some people, who can never receive assets from you, right? So you think of as a disinheritance or exclusion. We include in our documents as well to say, hey, I never want this person to be eligible to receive, any assets from me. Now, that being said, within our documents, we also do have customization to be able to allow for, let's say, a caretaker or a guardian of your children to have access to certain funds for the child's well-being. So that's something that's included pretty standard in all of our plans. I'd say the really easy answer to this question beyond just creating an estate plan is work with an attorney if you have very specific goals.
Yeah.
In terms of what you want your legacy to be and what you want your family to be able to receive. Being able to receive legal advice during that process and just lay out to an attorney, hey, here's what I'm thinking. What is possible here, right? That's really going to be the best option, whether it's sitting down with an attorney in person and going through the entire process traditionally, or by working through Trust and Will, adding that attorney support and being able to get state specific, tailored advice for your situation. One thing I want to remind everyone here, I know we've been talking about and kind of pumping up Trust and Will a lot. Of course, I work for Trust and Will. Of course, I want you to use Trust and Will. My goal is help educate around estate planning, right? So if this conversation maybe encourages you to go meet with an attorney, that is awesome. We want you to be able to do that. If Trust and Will is the right fit for you, that's pretty cool too. I'm sure Queen will be happy either way if you get a plan in place. But both options are still great depending on what you're looking to accomplish.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Awesome. I don't see any live questions yet. So we're going to keep pedaling on. Actually, I found that a lot of the times when we're sitting with professionals, we don't actually know what questions to ask. And that's kind of why sometimes when people get onto platforms like this, they're kind of just consuming the knowledge and they don't know what they're supposed to ask. I get that a lot from my audience as well. Do you have any, like, off the top of your head, what questions should we be asking? Like, what if we, decide to sit down with an attorney?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think one thing that you can do is kind of lay out your family situation. And those are absolutely questions that attorneys are going to ask is, hey, what does your family structure look like? What's your relationship to these people? But I think something that I think working with an attorney is a great option, really, for anyone if they're looking to have that experience. I think some situations are better off served by an attorney, and questions around, the estate tax limit around, hey, I have a taxable estate in my state. What do I need to know there? Or what custom language do we need to add here? That's something that's really important to ask. And without a doubt, that's something that an attorney is probably going to bring up. But if you do have a taxable estate, I would say bring it up first thing and say, hey, I'm at this asset level. I want to be sure, we can include language in my documents that can avoid, any negative tax implications for me, or let's try to minimize tax implications if I do have a taxable estate. And kind of in that same note is, hey, the estate tax limit might be changing pretty soon. How can we account for that either in my plan, or what's the plan moving forward if that does change and I'm now beyond that estate tax threshold, right? So at that time, are we going to be able to edit my documents in order to reflect that? I think those are two things that most people may or may not be aware of, but it's always a good thing to ask about. Not just, hey, how do we get documents in place that are going to be legally binding and fit me right now, but also let's look forward to the future as my life changes, as I may have change of hearts around what I want my legacy to be, and as the ecosystem changes. Changes to laws at the state or federal level, how do we be sure to account for those and make sure that my estate plan is always up to date?
Yes. Awesome. All right. So this is really related to real estate. So how does real estate fit into the broader context of estate planning? What unique considerations should individuals with real estate assets keep in mind when creating their estate plan?
Yeah, great question. So real estate definitely fits into the broader context of estate planning because for a lot of people, the real estate or the property that they own may be the most valuable thing that they own, right? In terms of dollar value, right? It may not, maybe it has the most sentimental value as well, but for a lot of people, the house is the most valuable thing that they own, and they want to be sure that they have total control in terms of what happens to that house, what happens to that property when they're no longer here. Right? Is it going to go to my son or to my daughter? Are they going to co-own that property? Is my wish to, sell the house and then split the earnings from that sale between my two children and my cousins? Right. So it can look like a lot of different things, but I think it's always important to be considered. And for a lot of people, it's the main thing that they're thinking about, either when they go to create an estate plan or when they're thinking about creating an estate plan is, hey, let's be sure that we have a plan for the home. Now, what a lot of people make the mistake of doing, whether it be through Trust and Will or setting up the plan with an attorney, is, oh, hey, I mentioned the house in my trust, so now it's good to go. Right now, it's legally binding. in reality, everyone knows, or not everyone knows, most people know, Queen knows, we've got to fund that trust, right? So the house has to be retitled. We may have to do a deed transfer if necessary in some states. Trust and Will does have some preferred partners online for you to be able to do that. You could just go to the county office and do that as well in person, but always an important step to make sure that the trust is funded and that the house is included during that funding process, right? That you have the deed squared away and that house is ready to be received by a beneficiary if that's the plan.
Yes, keep that thing safe. Now, I'm not sure if you can actually ask this question, and someone asked this question to me recently because they hear a lot on the tickety talks and Instagrams about about put your house in an irrevocable trust and then you make money off of the property and blah blah blah, right? And then you don't have any taxes because the house is in an irrevocable trust. So
Right.
would you say that one is better over the other in terms of when you're still in the process of what I call having fun with your property?
Right. Great question. And I want to be careful here in answering it. I want to give a disclaimer to the audience that I'm not an attorney. Do not take what I say as legal advice. I can't comment on which is better in a certain solution. I can point out some of the differences. So we offer a revocable living trust. What you mentioned was an irrevocable living trust.
Okay.
That's going to be something that is a little bit more set in stone, right? So revocable trust, it can be edited or changed throughout the course of your life. So it really gives you as the trustee more flexibility to say, again, if I have a change of heart, if something in my life changes, I can make sure that we account for that. An irrevocable trust is not meant to be changed or edited. So it can be and with as much ease. So it can be a little bit more difficult to say, hey, I think maybe I gave this example in the last session we did, but like my brother-in-law said something really mean to me at dinner. I'm going to grab my go to trustandwill.com and exclude him from receiving assets. Or, hey, the person who's serving as, or who is set to serve as my successor trustee right now just passed away. Obviously, they're no longer going to be able to serve in that role. Let's go ahead and update my estate plan to have a new successor trustee in there. And I'm going to designate a few new backups as well, just in case. So we encourage our users to create a revocable living trust. It does fit the needs of most American families. That being said, everyone's situation is different. So my advice would be to consult with a local attorney if you're trying to decide which option might be better for you, what the implications may be. But I think generally for people who are under the estate tax threshold that are looking to have a little bit of flexibility, maybe they have a couple kids, they own property, and they want to be sure that they have something in place, a revocable trust almost every time is going to be the right solution for them.
Especially when you're having fun. You want to take money out, you want to take equity out, run around, have a good time.
Exactly. And something that we don't always account for is, hey, my life can look very different 10 years from now, whether that be I now have more children, I now have grandchildren, I got married or I got divorced, or something that people don't think about, I moved to a new state, right? I moved from Maryland to Illinois. And now I need state-specific documents for the state of Illinois. Again, very easy to update and do that through Trust and Will. But, having that revocable trust is going to make it even easier.
Yes. Love it. Okay. So the last pre-session question that we have here, and I still don't see any live ones. What options are available for transferring real estate to heirs or beneficiaries?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's going to come down to what type of deed that they have. So certain type of deeds can be included, kind of in the trust to say this is going to be managed by the trust. This is all going to be passed down this way. Versus there are, kind of like a TOD or transfer on death deeds in certain states where that can be passed along to the beneficiary without necessarily needing a trust. I can't really advise on, what that looks like or what state that may be available in, but I can definitely say that make sure that you have your deed updated and that if you do have a trust, that it's within that trust, right? So that you've gone through our trust funding guide, or you followed the instructions of the local attorney that you're working with, and don't be afraid to ask for a second set of eyes on something. I think that's something that a lot of people may not feel super comfortable doing. Is, hey, I've already taken so much of this person's time, or whatever the reason may be. Do not hesitate to go back to your attorney, or to come back to trustandwill.com and interact with someone from our support team and say, hey, I think I'm doing this right, but I would love a second set of eyes. I would love to just have some more peace of mind around this. That person's always going to be able to just take a quick look and either say, yep, this is all good, you're good to go, or hey, actually, this is what you're going to need to do, or here's the next steps that you need to execute in order to really check this box and get it done. So that would be my advice: is if you are not sure, don't try to go it alone. We have an awesome team here at Trust and Will, either member support team or our legal team, to be able to assist you. And then same with any attorney that you may work with in person. They're going to be happy to hopefully meet with you again, or even if it's just over an email exchange, to say, hey, is this looking good? Did I do this right? I just want to be sure before I, get out of your hair.
Awesome. And I know we had one other question in terms of this all comes from the Trump speculation, and how people think that he's able to do what he's done with his wealth. And so one of the questions is like about taxes, like, oh, if I put my property in a trust, does that mean that I automatically now avoid taxes all the way together?
So I mean, I think it's really going to depend on the state, the type of trust that you have. Again, probably a question that's better off addressed by an attorney person, or through Trust and Will. They're really going to be the ones that are able to comment on, state specific laws, state specific tax implications for your property and what that could look like.
Nice. Thank you so much. And please remind them that the member support is included.
Yeah, member support is included. My recommendation, if you're going to move forward with Trust and Will, is have that be kind of like the first line of defense. If you're kind of reluctant to add that attorney support for an additional fee, check out member support first. Go to the chat box, type, I want to talk to a human. You're going to be connected to someone probably within about 30 seconds, and you'll be able to ask a question. They can't offer legal advice, but what they're always going to do is try to lead with education to get you the information you need so that you can really make a confident decision.
And when they're in this portal and they want to connect to an attorney, are they connected through the chat, or are they actually connected through like a phone and they get their number and their contact information?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me go ahead and just share a screenshot from earlier just to kind of give you an idea of what this looks like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see, share screen. And here we are. Awesome. So this is kind of what our interface looked like. We took a look at this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
During the entire process, clients are going to have the ability to add live attorney support. Up here in the right-hand corner, they can add it to their cart and check out. Now, in most states, this is not necessarily an on-demand service where there's going to be an attorney, sitting there waiting for people to ask questions. Usually what it'll do is it will give you access to that attorney's schedule so that you can reserve time to work with them. So if you hit a point where you're like, hey, I really want to work with an attorney, that's probably going to be all the work that you do for that day, right? Let's press pause. Let's save our progress. Let's book that time with the attorney, make sure we get it on our calendar, and then we attend that call or Zoom session with the attorney. So they're gonna show up. It's usually gonna be either a 30 minute to an hour time slot where you're gonna be able to interact with them. But typically it's not gonna be on demand right away. In some cases you can get a same day meeting, but usually it's gonna be probably about 24 hours notice. But you can really look at their availability and see what lines up with your availability personally.
Awesome. And just so that we're clear, you said this is like a virtual kind of situation like we're doing now, or is it like a phone call situation, or either or?
Some of our attorneys will do Zoom. It's come to my attention that most prefer a phone call, but they're going to have access on their end to the information within your client's trust and will account. So they can really see, hey, this is what you've entered so far. This is where you're at. They're going to have access to all that information. So it's not just a client, telling them, hey,
reiterating,
this is what I put at this question. This is what I put at this question. The attorney's going to have access to all of that. So it makes it really, really easy for them, even over a phone call.
Awesome. You wouldn't happen to have an actual physical, because I know that it gets shipped to them, correct?
Yeah, totally. So I do have a virtual background on, so maybe it'll be a little bit tough to see, but I do have my estate plan right here. So I have a will-based plan. This includes last will and testament. It would include nomination of guardian for minor children if I had minor children. It also includes your HIPAA authorization, healthcare directive, and power of attorney. So that's something we haven't really talked about up to this point is, an estate plan isn't just for what happens when you pass away, but it can also account for situations where you go missing or become incapacitated. You can really still have control over what your healthcare is going to look like, what decisions are made in a case where you can't make a decision for yourself. The most famous example of this being, do we pull the plug or not? And then also your HIPAA authorization, so you can actually release medical information to certain individuals. You're basically consenting to that in advance to say, hey, for example, I want my mom and dad to be able to receive my medical information in the event where, I'm incapacitated and they need to know that information in order to make a decision.
Yes.
So, and just one more thing. So
yeah,
you mentioned documents can be shipped. So clients can print their documents right away, or they can opt for free shipping. We'll send it to them within 7 business days. Instructions for notarization are included. And this is important for anyone on this call, no matter how you set up your estate plan. Make sure you get your documents signed and notarized. That's basically going to tell a judge that, hey, this person is in a sound state of mind. When they created the documents, this is a real set of documents, and you can move forward with the distribution process. Some recommendations, a local notary, a mobile notary. We do have some directories on our site. Some banks or credit unions will notarize documents.
Yes.
My recommendation for most people is local UPS store. They almost always have a notary on staff. So maybe call ahead, make sure they're in. That's where I got my documents notarized. I actually had the people behind me in line be witnesses to my will. I was like, hey, will you?
Really?
Yeah, I was like, hey, I'm sorry, this will take 5 minutes. Would you guys mind being witnesses to the signature of my last will and testament? They were like, how old are you? Why are you drafting your will?
Right. Like, are you about to die? Like,
but they were more than happy to take a few minutes and be witnesses for that. So there's multiple options, and don't let that be the reason why you don't check that final box and get, make sure your documents are legally binding.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us here and letting us know about your amazing platform that you represent. So, as I stated before, guys, if you are ready to start the process and you feel fully supported and comfortable with moving forward with Trust and Will, it is available within the Money Mindset Clinic app. If you go under services, there's going to be a button there. Okay, you're going to click the button and the button is going to take you to where you need to go. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And just a reminder, going through that button using Queen's link will get you a 10% discount. So the ability to save as much as $70 on your estate plan if you go through that link. So for example, for a couple trust plan, normally it's $6.99. Go through Queen's link, it'll be $6.29, $70 savings just by knowing her and by going through that link.
Yes. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you. We appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. Always a good time. I hope I can come back sometime soon. I hope this has been helpful for your audience. And again, just wanted to promote that. Of course, I want you to use Trust and Will, but if this motivates you to move forward with an estate planning attorney, that's awesome as well. It's something that we all need. And I encourage you guys to have conversations with family, with close ones, any loved ones that you have around the importance of getting documents in place and really establishing that peace of mind.
Yes. All right, y'all. We are going to head out. We don't want to take too much of Michael's time. I don't see any other live comments, but I know that you guys are usually very scared to ask anything live. they'll probably be hopping up in my DMs or like, you know, messaging me on the app like, I meant to ask this question. But thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully we will see you back on here soon.
Totally. Sounds good. Thank you.